Hello. So this one is going to be a shorter video. This is making offers on just a regular foreclosure, and pointing out the main things you need to look for. So let me say this first. Anything that we say in this video, if you watch the 1 to 4 contract video, if you watch the VA foreclosure video, there's not going to be anything new in terms of like paperwork. Okay, it might be a little bit different in terms of offer instructions as far as how to submit the offer, what documents they need. It might be different in terms of, do you just email the offer to the listing agent, or do you need to register online into a portal and upload the documents to submit them? But as far as what to fill out and how to fill it out, you should be pretty good to go. Okay, so this is a VA. I'm sorry, this is a foreclosure. Okay, you can tell because in the owner part of the MLS, it's gonna say on. Sometimes it'll say owner record. It'll say they'll say lender owned over here. There'll be something in regards to it might Chase Bank. You might see some bank names, things of that nature. Okay, so anyway, let's get into it. The number one, the main things you want to look for, again, when dealing with the foreclosure, is you want to read the agent remarks, right? Because it's telling it. This one, for example, says, "Please see associated docs for related documents," and you want to read these remarks. Okay, you basically want to see, where do I need to be paying attention to. So sometimes in the agent remarks, it'll tell you submit all offers to this website, or it'll say download additional forms in associated docs, or it'll say, you know what I'm saying? So that's the first thing you want to do with the foreclosure is you want to read the agent remarks. Then you want to look in additional information, associated docs, and see if there's any documents here you want to open them up. Okay, so let's open this first one up. Okay, so this is pretty much just instructions. Okay, those instructions that you're going to want to just save in the file, you're just going to want to follow. Okay, that's pretty much it, and just make sure that the buyer and the agent are aware of them. Okay, let's see what this is. This looks like it's just a disclosure, so you're going to want to actually download this. Okay, just like we've done before. And you're just gonna, to be honest, you don't have to really fill all this out. If you don't, you can put the property address there, but pretty much the buyer needs to initial at the bottom of the pages, and it's just a disclosure. Okay, and then this is the W-9, I believe, for our brokerage, which you can just upload, either fill it out for the current company or upload one if we already have. Let's see what else. Let's go to the contract, because as far as on here, that's the main information. What did it say in agent remarks? What instructions and things do we need to download from over here and save into the file? Okay. Go back to zip forms now. With foreclosures, unlike a VA foreclosure, you're typically going to always use a 1 to 4 contract. Okay, so you're always going to use a 1 to 4 contract. There might be some additional forms here that you also include, but most of them on VA foreclosures, you're always going to use a 1 to 4 contract and maybe some additional documents. Whereas on a VA foreclosure, you're never going to use a 1 to 4 contract. You're always going to use the VA contract. Okay, so let me run through the 1 to 4 contract real quick just to make you aware of some things. So unless it says otherwise, for the seller, you're just going to leave blank. Okay, and these particular offer instructions, I believe, for this property, it might tell you to fill it in like Fannie Mae or Bank of America or Chase or Wells Fargo, whatever the case may be. Okay, but unless it tells you otherwise, you're just going to leave it blank. Okay, you'll fill in the buyer's information. You'll fill this information according to the MLS. You'll fill in this information. Okay, now this is a tip or a tactic. Okay, sometimes on a foreclosure, if the investor is using hard money, typically, let's say the offer was $100,000. Okay, typically if they're using hard money, we'd say $20,000 down, right? They're using third party, and they're financing $80,000, so it's $100,000. hard money. Okay, this is typically how we would do it. But sometimes if we know there's multiple offers and we want our offer to look more competitive to the seller, sometimes what we'll do is we'll just say it's a cash offer to make it look more appealing to the seller. We'll say it's a cash offer. We'll still attach their line of credit from the hard money company in case they miss it, but we do it knowing that at some point, either in the beginning of the deal or in the middle of the deal, we're going to have to change it. We're going to have to request an amendment be done, or right before we sign the real contract, let them know that, oh, we decided to use hard money instead. So that's just a tactic that we do sometimes to beat out other people, but the norm is going to be if it's a hard money loan, we're just going to put that there isn't a financial institution involved, and that's how it's going to look. Okay. Typically for investors, we put $2,000 for the earnest money, unless it says otherwise. On foreclosures, we do typically ask the seller to pay for the title policy. On a lot of foreclosures, they will put their preferred title company here. Okay. Unless it says in the offer instructions, we'll leave this blank, because sometimes in the offer instructions it'll tell us to pick title company. Okay. Typically for the title foreclosures, they typically don't pay for this, but we can always try to sneak it in. Okay, so that's what we'll typically do until they say otherwise. Now here's the biggest difference. For the survey part, we just leave it blank. For foreclosures, remember this, for foreclosures, we just leave this part blank, the survey part. Okay, if we know that our buyer wants to go ahead and pay for a survey, then we just check this one. Okay, so the reason why I say typically leave it blank on foreclosure is because it doesn't need to be in the contract. If the buyer wants to get a survey, we just need to tell the title company in the middle of the deal, hey, order a survey. Or the buyer can just order a survey himself in the middle of the deal. It's not dependent upon the deal. Does that make sense? So again, if we know up front that our buyer does want to go ahead and order a survey, we can do this. But typically for the first offer, we can just leave it blank. You know, don't even really need to worry about it. Okay. Here you're still selected within the HOA or not. For foreclosure, you're always going to check 3 because they never live in the property, so they're not required to give a seller's disclosure. You're going to check as is. You're going to leave this blank, this home warranty part. You'll pick a closing date. Like I mentioned, typically for investors, we pick 3 weeks, unless they say otherwise. Put that they'll get the property when it funds. Leave this part blank. We don't really ask for closing costs. Okay. Everything else is the same as the other video you saw. So this is the difference. Termination period or option period. With foreclosure, there's an automatic 7 days that come for the investor to have an inspection period. It's automatic 7 days. You don't have to pay for it. So don't put $100 like on the other one. Just leave it blank. Just put 7 days, and that's it on foreclosures. Okay. And then you'll fill this information out. And again, don't forget to use spacebar 3%. Okay, so that's it. That's the main difference. Those are the main points to point out for a foreclosure. I hope that helps. And let's get some deals done together.